Hello guys, and welcome to sorry, I'm a bit under the weather here in Denmark. It's really cold. So excuse my voice. It is a little bit low. I have turned down the volume inside the game accordingly, so I don't have to yell and sound unclear. But we have the Indianapolis round coming up, and for that I thought I'd make a small little um, setup guide for you guys, and also maybe a bit pointers of where the track, where you can gain some time on this track. We've recently raced here in the VEC, so it's a track that I know, but certainly not a track that I'm very happy about. Anyways, we are in the Nissan GT4, and we're starting from completely zero. All these setups, they are from VEC, um, but let's see. There you go. So they are removed, and yeah, let's see what we can do if we can gather some info or something from this track. So the GT4 being a naturally aspirated car, it has you have to rev the car quite high in order to get the optimal power for it. But yeah, it's from what I remember, it's a really fun car, and it's a good car to learn how to, well, find the basics in. Okay, the steering input is a bit high compared to the Nissan. Oh, sorry, the GT1. I do also have some frame issues here, but think I can manage. So obviously the GT4 is a bit slower, but it's not per se a slow car. Well, it's certainly one you have to be very smooth in. And also try to remember to make good exits here, because it's Indianapolis is all about having good exits for every corner, so not necessarily pushing through the corners as much as you would like in the GT1, but more getting the exit speed correct. So for the first time onto the straightaway with this car, even when going on these banks here, you will probably on the first one have a bit of an issue trying to stay inside the corner. Okay, so first pointer is that the gears are quite off, so we need to have, I think the top speed here should be around 250 in this car. Just try to brake safely for the first time here, so that was a bit before the 500 feet. I think it says 500 feet, but I can't really tell. A small lift is needed for that entry there. Yeah, and here it's not the best line to take. I think it's better to stay all the way on the inside, all the way through. But like I said, this for sure isn't my strongest track. I think Sebring suited me a lot better, so definitely not good. But with these cars being quite heavy, even in the GT1, I think the curb onto the straightaway is one you can use quite a lot if you're not running a too stiff setup. Obviously, if you're running a stiff setup, it's very important to have the car very planted through the corners, and therefore not try to have the car taken off for you. Okay, so the first lap being a 141.1. I think that's, easily something we can improve. See, the braking bias we can change a little bit. Camber seems okay for now. One thing that I do need to change is this one. Do not like driving it so high. Another thing would be the gears. Changing the final gears. Try to aim for that 250. Okay, that goes a bit above, but that's okay. I think we can manage that. Don't mind having a longer first gear for this track. That's perfect. So 100 k's, or about 100 k's of the first gear. Did have a bit of understeer. I do like to go for the soft approach on the cars. So trying to make everything as soft as possible to start with is something that I do prefer to do. Again, as high as you can go on caster. And then we try again. I always want to try go through here. Yeah. I don't know why I want to do that, but just seems less awkward to drive on the inside there. Okay, so a bit more understeer now. But you can still sort of try and rotate the car on the throttle. That's quite good. And for this guy I have absolutely no reference for lap times, so I don't know what times you should be doing. I didn't even check the live timing, so... Yeah, that caught me a bit off guard. Okay, so now we know a bit about the quirks, that you have some understeer on the exit of the mid-speed corner, so to speak. We can afford to go a bit lower on the downforce for this for sure, because you don't really need it here. That's way too early. It's already now a big improvement in the time, even though the first lap was a bit off. And you can gain a lot of time by not hitting that curb when it's there, actually. So if you try to exit before, you can sort of get two wheels on the opposite side of it, so you don't have this. You might not lose control, but you do lose a bit of efficiency when you exit the corner there. Okay, let's check the engine temperature, because I noticed that it would be quite cold for the race here, so we have the water very cold. I think we can go all the way down on the radiator settings. Let's try to find the braking point for here. Still a bit early. Had to adjust a little bit on the way in, so I lost the line a bit. Goes better into there. Push that a little bit in the middle there. Feels a bit awkward going into third there. We'll try to stay in second for the next outing, but we'll see. Okay, so 139.1 so far. Let's see. Yeah, the front tires are working a bit too hard at the minute. Okay, so let's see. We can even go up on the brake balance, so that's good. We want to take the brake ducts all the way down, radiator size all the way down. Also, this one to 0 can help you a bit with the braking performance. It feels like the brakes are a bit weak in this car. So let's just try to do something that we'll feel here. Go from, I forgot what standard was, but I think 29 to 12. We try to make the front softer overall, so we can have a bit of a little bit better turn in and on the exit. So trying to keep the front end as close to the ground at all times, and try and do that. That was tidy. It bugs me a little bit that I still haven't found a proper braking point for turn 1. Okay, now the brakes definitely work. That's good. It seemed like it helped lowering the front a lot. I don't think that this car produces so much wings that you can actually feel the downforce that much. Even though I do feel quite a lot of oversteer right now, or loss of grip in the rear. Do still have to take the tire pressures down, if I remember correctly, so ooh, still some time to be gained. Okay, this time I'll just try to stay in second gear and see what happens there. You know what, I don't think it's all that bad, because you just have to put so much less effort into braking and preparing yourself, because you don't have to shift down and do all that before going into the corner. And I think you're in the limiter for about 7 to 12 meters. So, you know, I don't think it's a big of an issue. So now we definitely have a lot more top speed, going around 270, so maybe we have to brake at the point that we did before. Yep, that seems a lot better. Huge improvement in turn 1, or sorry, sector 1. Now I just tend to brake a little bit late for everything because the top speed is so much higher. Seems like this car is producing a lot of drag on the rear wing. if it does that, we should see a major improvement here in this sector. I can also feel the car accelerating a lot more than it did before. I have a lot of FPS issues right now. That was probably the reason why the track is, or the lap was bad. Definitely don't feel this car as well as I do with the GT1. Don't know if it's the lack of power or the lack of grip or whatever, but definitely not a car that suits me very well. But we can try and set up our way out of this little pickle. Okay, we'll do one more lap with this setup just to see. Okay, maybe not. That was a bit too late. So we should have the rear end, or the rear tires, being a little bit more hot now. So let's try to take down the pressures. These ones go very, very low. 1 bar. Definitely be something that we can feel when braking and steering for that issue. The second gear, I just want to make it a bit longer if it was possible, but it's not possible. Alright then. Let's try to add a little bit more rear grip so we don't have all these slides. Just need to see what it is. I have something clicking around in the background here, so I just need it to shut down. Okay, there we go. Would be kind of fun to see what kind of lap times you guys are doing for this, but I do like going into these a bit blind, so I don't have anything that I need to push for and think about, so I can focus a lot more on my driving than my times. Just going 1 click backwards on the brake bias here. A little bit better traction this time around. Finally managed to hit that curb like I want to. This will be a good start to the lap for sure. That was a double downshift. Still not too bad through here, but everything after driving this car will feel so grippy. It really has not a lot of grip. A fair amount of improvement in the second sector there. So far so good. Braking a bit earlier and getting a proper line through turn 1 and 2 here. I think for me personally, this is one of those tracks where I would gain a lot more time by just driving a lot before having my go at the setup, but you know, it's very individual. There's some people who actually likes this track, to my surprise, but you know, doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people for doing so, but I just don't understand it. Much better exit this time. It felt like a better exit anyways. Yeah, okay, so a small improvement in the last sector here. We can still gain a bit by making the rear end a little bit softer so we don't have to fight so much in the exit of the corners. About these packers though, I'm not really sure that we need them, so... Oh, okay. Yes, that's how much we need them. And go a little bit down on the rear and... Let's see how we do that. And this, just to help both braking and accelerating. Because when you have a low rebound like this, it helps the rear end come up more, so you have a lot more weight transfer towards the front end. And the same as the bump, because that's the other effect of it. So when you go on the accelerator, this dictates how much the car is allowed to drop, as you would say, when you go on the accelerator, like you see on the road cars. When the rear end goes down, that is usually when you're accelerating. This bump function is what decides how far down this goes. So at bump 1, you basically have the most allowed travel through the dampers, and at bump 11 you have the minimum amount allowed. And this changes from car to car, so you can almost never use these settings on anything else than what you're running in the moment. Okay, so I wanted to see something here. I actually afford to go a little bit down on the canvas, so that's okay. It started to, you know, paint a bit of a picture that, like we saw in the GT1, that the front end has a lot of grip, but the camber just seems a bit too high in the front, so sort of goes hand in hand with what you want here. I must say this car sounds really good. I remember there was a mod released in the early phases of RFX2 where there was like a GT1 competitor of this car, which had the same sound, but obviously a lot more power and a lot more grip. And I think it was about as quick as the GT1. And I tell you, so with this sound and a car that grips, it's amazing. Okay, we are definitely able to control the rear end a little bit more, allowed to have a little bit more play in it. This car does seem to be quite sensitive to wings and ride height actually, so might have to watch out a bit with the extremes that we're doing. So I think this might actually not be a good change. I did swear to myself that I would never touch, or at least not this year, touch Indianapolis again after VC, because it's really a track that I don't like. Okay, that was definitely a con. Alright, so this lap is in the books. The camera seems a bit better now in the front, but we can still go a little bit better. Had a bit of a traction issue this time, so we raised the rear end a little bit to allow that bit more travel, to have the rear end work a little bit. How is the braking stability? Into the corners I'm lagging a little bit, so like that. So basically, with the coast, that can assist you a lot on braking. So when you're off throttle, this decides how much the rear ends are sort of working together. So if you have one wheel lock up, it transfers it all out to the heavier wheel as well. So it should have like a let's say that the average speed between the two wheels becomes closer as high, or the higher you put the coast. So if it's at 100%, it should be the same speed. 0% completely independent. One can be locked and one can go 300. Not in this car though. Okay, right now my force feedback don't seem to work that very well, so let's try again. Sometimes you can get this this force feedback issue where you can only feel whatever settings you have in the Logitech profile or whatever wheel you're using, or where the force feedback completely dies. Just had that issue. And as I don't really know this car too well, it's kind of hard to know when you're zeroing in on something good, because with these cars you either have a fast lap or you don't have a fast lap. I think in the end with this car it must be more up to the driver than the setup. But in all honesty, we are getting closer to something that I'd prefer driving over the other setup, or the standard setup. We have the exact same sector 1, oh sorry, sector 2 as we did before. But we are only looking for improvements here, so this doesn't really work out. Oy. 100th quicker in the last sector. Yeah, this is definitely starting to feel a lot better. Even though we lost a bit of time there. Okay, let's do one more lap here and then we will try to conclude something. I did improve my driving a bit here to try to change some things, just being a little bit more patient on the throttle, trying not to build up too much power before actually being able to go on the power, so just trying to be, as I said, a little bit more patient and wait a little bit, maybe coast a bit more than normal to have the right exit with this car. So yeah, a little bit closer.
Log building finished.
What can we do? We can try to take out a little bit more rear wing. What about the canvas? And the rear cameras also seem a little bit high now, I don't know. Try this. Should raise the rear pressures just a tiny little bit. You know what? I actually like the front end to turn it a little bit better, and we also get a little bit better turning on brakes, which this car lacks a little bit right now. The front end just seems to wash away once you go into the corner, so try and change that for a bit. I want to do that 29 in first sector, just because you're so close to, well, so close to you know, complete digit like 30 or something, so you want to do 29.9 or something stupid like that, yeah. But you know, let's try. Turn this car into a drift machine. I mean, this will definitely take care of your front tires, but I'm not sure how the pressures in the rears like being slid around like this so much. definitely have turn in now. Do we have too much? I just need to remind myself to change that brake balance. No! It was looking very promising right up until that point. Oh well. Let's try and get it on this next lap here. Way too late on the brakes. Don't know what I'm doing. Alright, so we can try. We don't have a lot of adjustments to play with here. You know, let's try and max this one out, just to see what will happen. Because it doesn't seem like it's a big of a difference when you see it visually. But you know, it might change in practice. I'll do this run, and if it feels good and we don't need to make any more changes, I think this will be a decent setup. Then we will be able to just do a single Q lap, even though I don't really feel very confident doing that around this track, but let's try it anyways. Oh yeah, god damn it. Braking balance. It does feel a little bit different, but like I said, I don't think it's a big change. But you know, it might do this trick here. Research wins most races, I think. A little bit more stable on the braking now, so that's good. Should give you some confidence when passing everybody else. keep messing up that exit now. I think we might have lost a faster lap here. Will be a very, very small difference if we do have it. It felt like a 2.5 tenths of mistake, but this is a long straightaway, so you never really know. Yeah, around 2 tenths, so. But just try again. Not as good this lap as before. Didn't really get the maximum out of the car. Let's try and have a little bit better exit than before out of the next corner here. Ah, there we go. A little bit of grass on the exit, but I think that's alright. Okay, let's do one more and see if we can find anything big. I braked a bit late, but you know, sometimes that works out in some places, but I don't think that's one of them. This is one of them. Nope, definitely not. Alright, but to be honest, the car doesn't feel very bad right now, and as you can see, it's quite a simple setup. So, hardest setting on the front, spring rate, sorry, and bump and rebound softest everywhere. Front end doesn't go lower, Haggis doesn't go lower, and everything on the rear end is on minimum, apart from the ride height, which is 7.1. Roll bar is as low as it goes on the front, and in the rear, you can detach it. In the front, actually, I think between these two settings would be optimal, but you have to try if you're running this setup. I know the event is today, but if you're running this setup, try these two values and see what you think. Caster and all that. I mean, the cambers are pretty close to what you want them now, so I think these will be alright. I was looking at dry hard and I was like, if there's a soft setup, I have to redo all these things, but it's alright. All good. So let's try and run a qualifying with this one. See what sort of time we can get into. I don't have the feeling that this car is the one where you find like a second on the lap where you push maximum with less fuel, but who knows. It has a little bit less power, so it's more affected to weight, but yeah, we'll see. It doesn't have a lot of grip though, so oh yeah, the goddamn braking balance. Okay, now I think it's definitely worth shifting up into third there. Alright, but I will try to be quiet for this lap, try to concentrate a little bit. And yeah, that's it. I can also just decide to look at the completely wrong brake mark and miss the first corner completely. I'll try to do the 2 laps for this. Oh, come on, FPS, what are you doing? As you can see that the timer still runs whenever the FPS drops, so that screwed us a little bit. So I will try to cool down the tires a little bit, even though I think we have lost the peak on the front tires, but let's see. That was a bit of a messed up lap, but I don't know. Let's see what the times are in the race. Conclude, but you know, I don't think 35.9 would be out of reach if you would like the track, happen to like the track, care enough about it. But this was basically my little run. I will also show you the lap from the roof, even though it was not a good lap. Alright, here we go. Enjoy it. That was the wrong lap. Let's try again.